All right. Let me just see here. All right. Hello and welcome everybody to this webinar. This is going to be a masterclass on how to offer LifterLMS based services to grow your business. And if you're using, if you do services with LifterLMS or other tools or a combination, still going to be relevant. And really, there's going to be a lot of lessons and experience sharing going on in here related to just digital freelancing and agency work. And building productized services no matter what industry you're in. But if you're looking to sell services related to online courses, membership sites, learning management systems, this is going to be an awesome webinar. So I want to thank everybody for coming and being a part of the LifterLMS community. I'm a big lifelong learner. I go to a lot of webinars, and I hope you get a lot out of this one. So if you guys could, hello from North Carolina. Awesome. I'm originally from there. That's Denise. And we've got Durante from Atlanta, Georgia. Amy's in the house on Facebook. Amy, if you want to come over to Zoom, we're over here. And all right, we got people from all over the world on this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. So this presentation is about discovering why now is the absolute perfect time to offer online course, membership site services, how to grow and structure your offer around what LifterLMS can do and what various other tools can do that course creators need. And also I'm going to get into how much to charge for your services. And my name is Chris Badgett. I'm the CEO of LifterLMS. I'm one of the co-founders. And this is one of my favorite topics. I love helping education entrepreneurs, course builders. But I also have my roots in being a freelancer, running an agency, being a solopreneur, later building a team, merging companies together and doing things like that. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It just speaks to another part of entrepreneurship. And a big part of the LifterLMS community are the service providers who help with the website build, who help with the marketing, who help with the instructional design, who help in scaling a course that is showing signs of success to much bigger success. We're going to get into all of that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So can you guys let me know in the chat? I just want to make absolute certain that you're seeing this first slide. It's got a little picture of the LifterLMS logo inside a phone, a screen, and a tablet. Can you guys? Yep. Cool. Awesome. I just wanted to make sure that we're sharing because we're going to jump right into this. All right. So just to give a little overview of this masterclass on selling and offering services around courses and membership sites. I'm going to do a presentation here, but this is going to be interactive. I'd like you guys to ask questions. There's a Q&A feature here in Zoom. So if I say anything that sparks an idea or something you want further clarification on or something you want to share about, please use the Q&A. You can also use the chat, but it's really best to do the Q&A if you want to have me answer a question live. That's one of the best places. We're also going to be dropping links in the chat if you hear us talk about something specific. If there's a link related to that, we'll drop some links to that. And if you're looking for anything like on the LifterLMS website and you're not sure where it is related to what we're talking about or anything like that, just ask that question in the chat and we'll get the link in there as well. Also at the end of this, there's going to be an opportunity if anybody wants to raise your hand. There's a little feature here in Zoom where you can raise your hand and you can kind of go live. We can hear your voice and have a conversation live on the masterclass webinar here. If anybody wants to talk. I'm also, as you know, a big believer in social learning and sharing leadership and things of that nature. So there's a lot of other, I'm sure, great wisdom and experience in the and the people on this call around membership sites and online courses, building a digital agency, freelancer business, solopreneurship, lessons learned, tips, tricks, strategies, all that. So if anybody wants to go live and talk about that, or just weigh in the comments or the chat as we go here, feel free. This is not a situation where I'm just, the guru on top of the mountain telling you how it is. I'm sure there's a lot of great ideas and experience here. So ask questions and feel free to share your thoughts. And if anybody does want to go live, we will do that at the end. We've got about, the main presentation here should take about an hour. And then we've got another hour available for Q&A that we can get into. And please feel free to ask questions as we go. So this next slide is just some slides about me. My name's Chris Badgett. Like I said, I'm the CEO of LifterLMS. I'm a course builder. I'm a freelancer. I'm a remote worker. I have a digital agency. I used to be a solopreneur, built a company, merged it with another company, transitioned an agency into a product business, built productized services, and figured out this whole location independent digital remote entrepreneurship thing. So, but I'm not a technologist. I'm not even a business guy. My background is really in the outdoors and the wilderness. Before I got into technology, I lived in Alaska for a long time. I used to run sled dogs up there, spent a lot of my adult life rock climbing, mountaineering, just traveling over the country and, just going and climbing and hiking and all that stuff. And until I got into sled dogs and lived up in Alaska, a lot of times off the grid with no electricity or running water, anything like that. And before all that, I was in my schooling, I was really into anthropology, psychology, sociology. I did a lot of world traveling, immersed myself in different cultures. This picture you see here with me with the guy with the big beard, that's called a sadhu. That's a Hindu guy in Kathmandu. I spent some semester in Nepal, in Kathmandu, and up in some other regions of the Himalaya. Always been a mountain person, and I love learning about people and other cultures. And for anybody out there that thinks about, sees what we're doing and, sees how I do things like marketing and stuff like that, a lot of that for me comes from roots in anthropology and understanding people and communication across cultures and borders and, understanding the human condition. That's my approach as a marketer. It's not really about manipulation and sales. It's about clear communication and helping people. And this whole thing about learning is really important to me because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm obsessed with just learning new things. I never get bored. I have a couple of daughters and I'm really invested in their learning. And yeah, this is this is just who I am. And just on the side, I started teaching myself WordPress through YouTube videos back in 2007. And that was where my journey began. I sold my first website for $500 to a real estate developer who was looking for a website for a neighborhood. And then, fast forward many years, I've done six-figure projects that are websites. They're more like web applications, still running on WordPress. But that's, a big journey and a big span with, lots of learnings and interesting projects. And through all that, also developed and launched productized services, which we're going to talk about in this call as well. So that's a little bit about who I am. I'm not a technologist. I'm not a business guy. I am now, but I didn't come from that world. So anybody who's wondering if you can do it, if you don't have those as like your primary skill sets, with a little passion and hard work and just interest and focus, you can do it. And I think my story kind of shows that. But let's talk about this timing now. So this presentation is really all about providing services to the online education, membership, economy, and this whole shift in learning that's happening. So for some of us, we may feel like the ship has sailed. There's so many online courses. Udemy already has like tens of thousands of courses on it. You know, a bunch of internet marketers have done product launches and the market is completely saturated. But in my view, this is really just the beginning. And we're really on the cusp of online education going mainstream. So what happened at first, you know, in the online education and information product industry was it was kind of like the infancy of it all, where somebody would create an ebook about something, and become, if it took off, they could become very successful because the format was novel. You had global distribution, and there wasn't much competition. But you can't do that anymore with the ebook. You can do some kind of product launch, but just because you get the sale and you're a good marketer, that doesn't mean you're going to be successful like it used to mean. Today, it's all about results and not just getting people, behind a paywall, but actually teaching something, building incredible products and learning experiences is really, we're going mainstream with that, which means the market is a lot less trusting. Things are becoming commoditized, which means you really need to demonstrate value. The best way to demonstrate value is with a great product that creates dependable, consistent learner results. And, it's that guiding vision that guides LifterLMS itself. But the timing in terms of, the ability for people to create a great product, to work with things like video, websites, global distribution, screen recording, presentation tools, you can pretty much do all of that now with a laptop and an internet connection, which is really amazing when you think about it. And this whole thing didn't even really exist 10 years ago, and here we are. And just the unlimited shelf space of the internet. The way I like to explain it is, if you think about a bookstore, there are only so many shelves in a bookstore. So really it's the most popular books that end up in the big bookstores like Barnes and Noble and that sort of thing. But the internet has unlimited shelf space. So if you have an online course in some niche that is really small and obscure, like let's say, those little quadricopter drone helicopter things. Let's say you had a course about how to build those or repair those. That might not make it into a mainstream online course, bookstore, but when the shelf space is unlimited, all you need is 100 people paying you $1,000 each, or 1,000 people paying you $100 for your course, and you have a lifestyle business. So that unlimited shelf space is just hugely impactful, and people are going more and more online to look for their training, to get their content, to grab learning opportunities. So the other interesting thing in terms of timing is the rate of change. Things are moving faster and faster. The internet's getting faster, mobile's getting better, internet's ending up in cars. Technology, storage space, everything is just increasing exponentially. So that's just something that's happening, and markets are getting disrupted. We're seeing businesses rise and fall faster than ever. Things change. Just like Blockbuster movie rentals was completely disrupted by Netflix. These things are happening at a faster and faster rate. The other thing that's happening is what I call myth destruction. And this is just the generally accepted story that if you go to school, you get good grades, and you can get a good job, with your good education, it doesn't always work that way. I'm not against higher education or traditional education, but the statistics are showing that, you know, is college mapping to a good career for the majority? And it's not really working out that way. It still works for some professions, but entrepreneurship is really, you know, people are kind of taking matters into their own hands, and the schools in some cases can't necessarily even keep up with the, you know, the change, that rate of change of technology to keep curriculum in place. So people are, you know, piecing together specialized training to be employable for a certain job, and they're kind of taking matters into their own hands more and more. Tool accessibility is a big thing. WordPress is free. A lot of web hosting companies are making it easier and easier to get WordPress installed. Get your website up. You got cameras everywhere on your phone, on your tablet, and your laptop. Microphone qualities are getting better and better. I'm talking to you today on a $60 microphone I got off of Amazon. The tools of the trade have become more and more accessible. We're also entering something that some people call the results revolution. I actually got that phrase from a podcast we did with Adam Urbanski. And what that means is online education, online courses and membership sites, the ones that are going to be successful going forward, are not delivering premium content. They're not just delivering a video version of a chapterized book with great content. They are creating real results in the world for the target audience, and those results speak for themselves, and those results are the best marketing out there. So when we look at features for LifterLMS and how to help education entrepreneurs, what we are focused like a laser on is building tools that helps them get their students results, not just allow them to get access to multimedia content. Entrepreneurship is also on the rise in general. You know, kids are starting businesses. They are, you know, older people are transitioning to entrepreneurship after a layoff, or to, you know, they have a side hustle going just to reduce risk. It's really debatable sometimes which is more risky, entrepreneurship or a traditional career path. Depends on who you talk to and what the details of the situation are. But there's a clear rise of entrepreneurs and side hustles going on out there in the world today. And the world is becoming increasingly freelance and remote. On this call, we're represented by many different countries, and many of us on this call probably do some freelancing, solo, or in a team work, or, you know, partially work from home. So we might be pretty good at it, but that's still not necessarily the mainstream way of doing things, although it's heading that way. So for all these reasons, this is why now is the perfect time for getting into online courses, membership sites, and learning management systems. And for the context of this call, offering services to that market that is expanding, not linearly, but spherically. So if we go here to the next thing, we're going to talk about how to construct an offer for your service or your package or your productized service. Now, there's lots of different touch points that you can help education entrepreneurs, online course builders, membership site builders. You can just do the website, and that's a huge service in and of itself. It is a learning management system. Even though it's a website on WordPress, it's really a web application, but I use the word websites just in general. But keep in mind, this is a web application. It has users on it. It does more than just, you know, display content. The other big one is content creation. Sometimes course creators or membership people, they need help actually creating the content or digitizing the content. There's a huge opportunity there. That can even be done remotely. in all kinds of different ways, and we're going to get into that. The other one is course and membership marketing. An online course, you know, when it launches, is not the finish line. It's really just the starting line. Now, leading up to that launch, there's all kinds of pre-selling and marketing stuff that should be going on. After it launches, you know, the course creator really, in my opinion, the highest and best use is continuously refining the course learning experience itself based on the feedback of the users in the course, the learners. That their best time is not necessarily spent on marketing. They can do that, and it's important for the survival of the business, especially if they're not initially making enough to put food on the table or maintain the lifestyle. But that that marketing help is something that can be of huge value to people. And, you know, most experts, the whole expert economy, their biggest strength is in the expertise, perhaps teaching, but not necessarily in the marketing or the business building. So they need lots of help there. The other one is maintenance. We talked about the rate of change that's happening these days. And, you know, WordPress is always updating. You guys probably see that LifterLMS, we release updates, we release new products. Your web hosting company, you know, may not tell you that you're on a really outdated version of PHP that might need to be updated. There's all kinds of security things you can do to make websites more secure and stay secure. It's really actually easy to build packages around that maintenance service and help people, you know, just have that peace of mind and not have to deal with the chaotic events that arise when a website gets hacked because it's outdated, simply because nobody was just at least doing the minimal update and maintenance protocols. The other thing you can do is bundled services, you know, where you offer, you know, a couple of these as a package. So I skipped over migrations there. So a lot of people are coming quicker and quicker to LifterLMS from other platforms that they were on, that they were, you know, either satisfied with but not happy, or just really unhappy with. So they're coming over. Perhaps they have lots of content over on this other platform. They've got all this stuff going on that they need to get over into LifterLMS. That's a service in and of itself. So an example of a bundled service would be to do migration plus website. So there's all kinds of stacking where you can do website plus maintenance. That's a classic one. So you build a website that might cost a decent amount of money, but then the maintenance is more of an ongoing recurring revenue situation where you're responsible for keeping that site current, up to date, and you know, free of, you know, negative hacks or anything like that. And then the last one is high ticket programs. This is a massive service opportunity, especially if we look at the whole results revolution. This involves taking a 30,000-foot view and looking down on your online course as a part of a bigger whole. So you're looking at this result you promise, like, let's say I was going to teach people how to build a WordPress agency and make $60,000 or $100,000 in their first year. I may have some online courses, but I might start stacking all kinds of other things like masterminds, private coaching, group coaching, live events into that to really surround that individual or that group of people with all the resources, tools, connections that they need to be successful. And when you find an expert and you see that high ticket program potential, or they approach you like, hey, can you help me put together the premium package for this person for this result? Those are really high end, and that's actually where the most money is. It's also a tremendous amount of work, and we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So next up, I just want to talk about a framework that I like to use when creating a service offering or a product is, what style are you going to do? And there's really three styles. What is your approach to your offer? Is it a done for you offer? Is it a done with you offer? Or is it do it yourself? So let's take it from the bottom here first. A do it yourself offer is almost just like, it's a service, but it's more just like some course content. It's a manual, it's a book, it's an online course that, okay, if you're going to build that agency, here is the course on how to do it yourself. There's no active involvement by me helping that person. That's what that is. But in terms of services, the do-it-yourself offer is for a client or customer who either is just focused on not wanting any help, or they can't afford your higher end services. So I recommend having a do-it-yourself course for that part of the market that can't afford you yet, or is just really focused on wanting to see if they can do it on their own. Done with you is that's more in line with a productized service or a lower touch personal service, where it's a combination of a do-it-yourself with some help by you, the service provider. And the more you can structure that, the more you can make that a productized service. And that's more of a middle tier option. And then the highest tier option, where you can charge the most money and get the biggest, and usually get the biggest results for people, is the complete done for you approach, where someone comes to you, they have more money than time, and you are helping them achieve this result, and you're going to do all, if not almost all, of the work to make the result happen for that person. And that can be very valuable. That's the highest perceived value of service, mostly because of the time factor, because you're literally you're making an offer, and that client is going to pay you to make it happen without involving much of their time. So next we have, I'm going to go through each of these and talk about them a little bit. So these are websites, content creation, migrations, marketing, maintenance, bundled services, and high ticket programs. So starting with websites, people, if they're going back to the do-it-yourself option, they can come to LifterLMS.com and they can buy the Infinity bundle. They can get all the plugins and zip files and the graphic design assets in Pro, and they can do it themselves. But a lot of people, it's kind of counterintuitive to a new service provider, because they're so excited about it and they love building websites and they love what they do. And it's easy to think like, how could someone not like building websites? This is so fun. I love working with page builders and, achieving great design, writing good copy for the website. But a lot of people they don't want to do it. They want to hire somebody to do it, and they want it done well. So, and it's moving the starting line. So that person could come to you, the service provider, and they'll be like, all right, I know I can buy LifterLMS or whatever membership or LMS system, but I'll buy it, but I want somebody else to build it. Can you build it for me? So this is where you can create a learning management system site, which is, just the online course membership, like part of the website. So that's one level. Another level, when I've sold these services, is, well, do you want all that plus the marketing site, plus the regular website, the homepage, the about page, the contact page, the blog? Do you want all that stuff too? Because those are kind of separate services. Remember, a traditional website is kind of like a brochure for the business. But a learning management system online course membership site typically is the business, or an additional stream of revenue for the business. So they serve different purposes: the marketing site or the brochure site, and then the actual learning management system online course. The other thing with selling LifterLMS websites is, who do you serve? What niche do you serve? I recommend you specialize if you can. So maybe you build training sites for construction companies or industrial companies. I can't tell you how many times people contact me with questions about Lifter, and they need courses for safety training and for, you know, some kind of industrial application. That's a niche. Coaches who are, you know, creating wellness programs. If you build LifterLMS websites, you almost don't even need to say, it doesn't really matter how the sausage is made, if you will. You don't need to use the word LifterLMS or WordPress. It's more just like you build training sites for coaches. You build training sites for business leaders. You build training sites for real estate companies. You build training sites for pharmaceutical companies. You build training sites for alternative healthcare providers who are, you know, need to, you know, have courses to explain the work they do. You build training sites for continuing education in this niche. I highly recommend specializing, and then that gives you a target for your marketing. Because if you just build training sites or online course sites or membership sites, it's a little vague, and it's harder for people to find you. It's harder for you to do outbound sales, inbound sales, and create content when you're so general. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So think about your niche. Think about your niche. And by the way, niches can also be around tools. So let's say, like for example, in WordPress, page builders are popular. So some people really love Beaver Builder. So let's say you do Beaver Builder LifterLMS sites. That's a niche. Or some people really love the Divi theme. So you do Divi sites with LifterLMS. So that's another way to kind of niche, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. The other thing you can help with is, it's not just about building the website. That's one of the things I wanted to be clear about in this presentation, is it's not just the website. It's the other things that need to happen around the project, before and after. So content creation and instructional design, like people get really excited about the tools, but they need help many times creating the content. So that could be as simple as teaching somebody how to use Zoom or ScreenFlow or Camtasia. You could have a do-it-yourself, like, hey, I'm going to train you on how to create your content. You could get on a plane and actually go film people. That's actually how I started when I offered online course publishing services, and I was not a professional videographer when I did that. Later, I hired other people to do that. So, you know, you can offer these services. It doesn't mean you have to do the actual work. I put an ad on Craigslist in New York, flew somebody from New York to Costa Rica to film, a videographer to film a workshop that was happening down there in permaculture. But I didn't do the work myself. You know, I just created the business, you know, the offer there. So it's about solving problems, and sometimes that means building a team. So the other thing around content creation is, when someone's building an online course or a membership site, you know, they're going to need lessons. They might need assessments, achievement badges. So think about, it's really important, like if you're doing it with LifterLMS, that you understand the full power of LifterLMS. So that is, what can you put inside of a LifterLMS lesson? Well, if you've been around it a while, you know you can put almost anything in there: video, audio, text, downloads. You can embed other things. You can put, you know, calendars, links to meetings like this, so you can do live virtual sessions. People need a little help. Sometimes an expert, like let's say you're going after the niche of public people who are on the paid speaking circuit, who are weary from the road and they want to kind of globalize and digitize their speaking career and put it online, and what their message and what they talk about. Those people may be great speakers in presenting content, but they may not know how to structure it and format it in such a way for the digital space. So you kind of need to educate your customer, your prospective customer, which they're going to love, by the way, when you help them see, because they have, oftentimes they have a sense for what they need, but they don't, as you start articulating like what the lesson content might look like, light bulbs go off in their head of like, oh, okay, and they start seeing the pieces that need to be put together, which is super helpful. But what I'm saying here about in-person, virtual, or blended is, I mean, put a big price tag on it and get on a plane. I mean, you can get anywhere in the world for, you know, a lot of money, like several $1,000s. But, you know, if you got your expert prepared in advance of you flying over there with a camera, or you hire a camera person and sound or whatever, you can charge enough money for it. Charge $10,000 for it. Cover your costs and your travel and expenses. Or, you know, interview them through a tool like this, Zoom, where you're actually kind of producing in the way a movie producer produces, where they guide the conversation and like, okay, let's chunk down your big talk into these sections and lessons. Okay, we're going to record lesson 3 now about productivity. Go. And then you can do it all through Zoom. So you can do it virtually. You can do a combination. If you feel like money's getting in the way, you just need to charge more for it, because there are people out there who would gladly pay a premium because they have more money than time, and you have the skills and can create the results that they want. So that's what content creation is all about. They may not be aware of gamification trends like digital achievement badges and certificates. Some people think that certificates are only for, you know, places where they're mandatory certificates of graduation, or continuing education requirements, but that's not the case. You can invent a certificate. If you're talking to an expert about who's like a productivity expert, and he get that expert could invent his own productivity certificate that may be valuable. Like if somebody takes that certificate and is looking for a job and they put that in their resume and stuff like that, you can be as creative as you want, but it's important. What I'm saying is it's important to educate your customer about what's possible. Don't expect them to know what you know about what's possible with online education and building a true learning platform. All right, migrations from inferior platforms to LifterLMS. We get this all the time. Many emails a day. Somebody's emailing, they're saying, I'm not happy with X. I want to get to LifterLMS. How do I do that? In many cases, while it may seem easy, there are a lot of steps and, you know, gotchas, bottlenecks, scenarios that need to be dealt with for professional migration from a hosted platform or from another WordPress LMS that people are pulling their hair out and trying to get over to Lifter, but they've already done all this work somewhere else and they want to get over. That is a service in and of itself. If I knew of a specialist out there, I would start giving them your email address if you wanted me to, and send those people over there to get help moving over, because it's one of the most common things we get, and it's a specialty. Because let's talk about it. It's not as simple as it sounds. Yeah, first of all, you have to deal with the emotional letdowns and trust, because a lot of people, they feel like they were oversold by the other platform, overpromised, underdelivered, their support wasn't good, they got ignored, all kinds of stuff, and their trust has been beat up. So you kind of got to earn their trust, and you've got to be understanding and sympathetic when somebody is let down by another company. You're operating at a trust deficit because that person has been burned or feels burned. So you have to be able to deal with that and just be okay with that. That's part of the process. The other thing is you do need to help educate them on what it is you're actually doing, because in a lot of people's mind, like building a house or building a website, it's not that crazy, it's not that complicated. So oftentimes you do need to educate them a little bit about what's involved so that they understand the value, and that's your job, not theirs. But once they understand it, your job in a migration is to don't make them think. Like, you want to be in front of the issues. Like, for example, if somebody is moving over and they're starting fresh on a new system, what are you going to do with all the legacy users? What are you going to do with all the SEO that was built up on the old site? If there's going to be new links and everything, how are you going to deal with that? So when you're in front of them and you just guide them through the process and don't make them think or stress, and just, you've got it handled, that's such a great feeling for that customer. There's things like archiving and backing up their old system in case you ever need to dig into it and find, the old user's email addresses, or get some images or some data out of there. That's an important part of the process too. It's important to navigate their expectations about, okay, this is how it's going to work. This is when it's going to happen. It is going to be down for about 4 hours when we, change the DNS records. It's about being a guide. Okay. You're not just a service provider who's executing a process. You're a human helping another human and helping them not be stressed out. And then, like I mentioned, those SEO implications are very important and need to be taken into account, because you could move somebody over to LifterLMS and they have a great new site. They're super happy, but you might have just destroyed their SEO because you didn't set up the 301 redirects properly in the htaccess file. And if you don't know how to do that, get a developer on your team who can just do that from a spreadsheet. It's not that hard, but these are important things that can be extremely valuable to somebody. And the other thing that I recommend adding to a migration service is what I call hypercare. And that's where, when you're moving somebody, full well in advance, especially if you're in the digital website building or agency service, that as soon as the thing is delivered, whatever it is, the website, the web application, oftentimes at the launch, there's all these like little things and unanticipated things or tweaks or bug fixes. Make yourself available, extra available, hyper available after the launch or the migration, so that you can help them and just be available when the things are the most intense, the stress is the most high, the pressure is on. So that's the migration service. Next, this is a big one: online course and membership marketing. The website launch is not the finish line. So, when an education entrepreneur is embarking on one of these projects, they have to wear many hats, okay? They have to be an expert. They have to be a teacher. They have to be a marketer. They have to be a business owner and do all the stuff that comes with owning a digital company and a business. It's a lot for one person to do. And in my experience, the people who are the most successful, they do build a team. It might be a very small team, but they don't try to do it all, or they outsource pieces of it, like you know, a fancy word of saying it would be like a fractional CMO, a fractional chief marketing officer. They're not full-time on the payroll, but there's this awesome marketing person who's associated with my online course or membership site business, and they've got that handled. And even if they only spend, you know, not full time and really part time, they're getting a lot done, super valuable. I pay that person a lot of money. That's how it works for like fractional services. So here are some example marketing services that you can provide to course creators, membership site builders, and learning management system folks. The fundamental thing, if you're a marketing person or a communications person, is the offer. So what is the offer? What are we selling here? Sometimes experts have, you know, the curse of knowledge, expertitis. They try to cram too much in a course. They forgot what it was like to be a beginner. They may need help in that original offer construction, which is the most important part of an online course project. If you get that wrong, nothing else will help you. The other thing people fail at a lot is pre-selling. They get so focused on getting the technology, getting the course built, that they're not actively building the email list, building a Facebook group, building an interest list, building relationships, building affiliates in advance, all kinds of things like that. Pre-selling help is huge. The actual product launch itself, if you have like when I do a product launch, I actually have a checklist, like a flight attendant or an airplane pilot has, where he or she, you know, goes through everything systematically, even though they've done it 1,000 times, to make sure they're doing everything. If you have a solid how to launch an online course, a new course, or a membership site checklist, that takes a lot of the mental stress out of it for you, the service provider. But you just offer that, and then you take care of all those steps for somebody, you know, whether that's the emails that go out, you know, if you're doing any kind of launch party, if you're doing anything with affiliates, if you're doing social media marketing on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, making sure all that stuff is handled for launching a course or a membership, that's a huge thing. And remember, a lot of course creators are experts. They're not necessarily great at marketing or selling, so you can be a huge value add there. The other thing is scaling. I think somebody could come into the LifterLMS community and absolutely crush it with this service. So what scaling is let's say there's a course creator out there or membership site owner who's doing pretty good. Let's say, you know, they haven't failed. They didn't launch to crickets, and they have, you know, let's say they're making, you know, they had a good like $5,000 launch, but their next launch is, you know, next month without any marketing, they're making $1,000 a month, and they're kind of stuck at $1,000 a month. They don't know what to do. So they have like a glimmer of hope that you know, that they've got something. People are interested. They're taking the course. They're getting the results, but they need help scaling up. There is a lot of people like that in the LifterLMS community that have success. They've launched. They're getting revenue, but there's you know, there's ways to scale that, you know, a seasoned marketer, you know, can help with things like inbound marketing, outbound, and relationships. Whenever I'm teaching somebody sales and marketing, I bring it back to inbound, outbound, and relationships, because those are the three things that make it happen. We're often good at one of those, but not all three. So just to clarify what inbound is, inbound marketing is attraction marketing. That's another name for it is content marketing, where you create stuff that, you know, blog posts, videos, free courses, that attract people. Outbound is prospecting. That's where you cold call, cold email, you know, go to an event where nobody knows you. This is outbound marketing. Relationships is about, you know, industry connections, customer relationships for referrals, social media. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So An expert is often not very good at marketing or just doesn't have a lot of experience at it. And if you come in as a scaling professional to someone who's already got success, which is good, you know, they've got, it's not somebody who just has a course idea, because there's a lot of people out there like that who have an idea but haven't taken action and built the content, or they haven't implemented it yet, or they've kind of stalled out. But if you see someone who's already launched and they need that scaling help, that's a big opportunity. And personally, if I was going to do a scaling service, I'm just throwing this out there, I would literally make it so I back up what I promise, where I only get paid if I get the results that I promise. Who wouldn't accept that offer? So the next is the bundled services. This is pretty straightforward, where you just offer a couple of these together. So you're doing like a migration from another system that somebody's not happy with, plus you're building the new system with LifterLMS. Or you're doing you're putting the course together and the site together with Lifter, and then you're going to do the marketing, you're going to do the launch. That's combining those two together is really interesting. Sometimes the fact that you do like 2 of these things, you're not just a one-trick pony, can be extremely valuable for somebody. And it's a lot easier to work with the same customers than to constantly get new ones. So sometimes when you broaden your offerings to include multiple layers or phases, it can be really valuable. So that's what a bundled service is. Let's talk about high ticket programs. I first heard the word high ticket program from Frank Bria. I interviewed him on our podcast called LMS Cast. I highly recommend that episode. But basically what a high ticket program is a stack or bundle of offerings that contribute to a very high value result in a particular customer. Online courses and membership sites are typically a part of that, but it's not the full part of that. So if you wanted to specialize in taking experts, these are already successful experts, probably already making $1 million a year or more, and they're trying to go to the next level from that successful book or that successful keynote speaking circuit that they're doing, and they just want to go, or that CEO who wants to step down from a company and move on to a new phase of life, teaching about leadership or something like that. This is what high ticket programs are, and a lot of times these premium experts, they need help seeing the bigger picture, and they need help implementing it. So there's lots of different ways you could structure a high ticket program. But one example would be an online training, some kind of membership, whether it's virtual or also getting stuff in the mail, private coaching or group coaching, a live event, setting up masterminds for the people, and then some kind of done for you productized service, all in service of one result. So let's say an example high ticket program would be, it can really be in any niche, but let's say you're going to do something in the one of the 3 big mega niches, which is health, wealth, and relationships. We'll do wealth since it's the easiest to come up with an example and kind of quantify. So let's say there's an expert out there who specializes in how to start fitness businesses, like open a successful CrossFit gym or something like that. You if someone, like, let's say there's a gym owner and they're like, you know what, I love my gym. I want to teach other people how to do this, and I want to go big. I want to see people be extremely successful and, you know, build a network of gyms that they own. There would be online courses. There would be some kind of membership, which would, maybe it even includes like a monthly package in the mail that includes like forms they'll need, you know, maybe just some swag for motivation, like t-shirts and, you know, all kinds of stuff you can do a membership. Coaching on, you know, not everybody's the same. Maybe some person's having trouble getting financing. Maybe another person is having trouble, you know, figuring out the real estate part of it or whatever. So, but these experts, they may not know how to set up a coaching program with digital tools, or they've never run a live event. So like getting a venue, booking the venue, selling, you know, getting all that organized, and, you know, the video, audio, and the recording of the event, getting all that set up, creating membership or masterminds inside of that high ticket program. So the group members form into these little posses of 4 to 5, 6 people, so that they can, you know, kind of grow together and learn in teams and have, you know, the calls with each other to hold each other accountable. And let's say there's a done for you service where that expert walks the people through all the paperwork, you know, so that it's more like, don't make me think, like we were talking about before. So if you understand business and you understand marketing and you understand value stacking like this, you can offer a service to help experts at the highest, you know, dollar value and premium level to launch high ticket programs. So high ticket programs, the results, in Frank Bria's words, are they help people make more money, save money, have a better life, or stay out of jail. So that's what, you know, high ticket programs are. So the online course of the LifterLMS piece, membership, is a smaller piece of a bigger whole. And if I was doing high ticket program service creation as a service, if I was doing it by myself or with a small team, I wouldn't take on many of these at all, but I would charge an extremely high amount of money for this, because it's worth it for that person, and they're charging their people a premium for that as well. And we'll get into actual pricing here in just a moment, so hang on. So how do you price all this stuff? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. There's hourly pricing and there's value-based pricing. So if you're going to provide these services, you can set your hourly rate, whether that's, you know, on the low end, like $30 an hour, on the high end, $500 an hour. That's really up to you. Hourly is a really personal thing, and it depends on your experience and what you're capable of. Value-based pricing, I'm a big fan of. If you know the value of, you know, what you're offering, then what I recommend doing is charging, you know, you would charge like what I call 10x or 100x pricing, where if I'm building a LifterLMS website for you for $10,000, they should be able to make $100,000, so 10x value in their first year with this website, is capable of doing that. So that's value-based pricing. It creates a no-brainer situation, and it's even better when you can do the 100x option. So whatever I'm charging you for my service, it's going to return 10 or 100 times that cost or that investment in results for the customer. That's what value-based pricing is all about. So let's talk about two different types of projects. We've got custom projects and productized services. Custom projects are open-ended, and they can go, they typically evolve as you go, and there's different ways to do them. They can be big, they can be small, but everything's custom. There's no real, I mean, there may be process on how you work, but the needs that you're fulfilling are all over the place. Productized services are about creating packages that have various options, and it may feel custom, and it should be somewhat custom to the client, but the implementation of the project is following a repeatable, documented process that is easily implemented by the service provider or their team. So productized services can be great. They can be a lot less stressful and also a lot more valuable if you get really good at it. Because what happens with custom projects sometimes is when you do custom anything, sometimes they end up like way far away from the original vision, because there really wasn't a clear vision to begin with. And we'll look at that a little bit. So with custom projects, if you're going to do it so you don't end up far away from what you originally thought you were going to do, is to do a discovery session. So a discovery is where, and I'm actually a big fan of paid discoveries, so not doing this for free. I mean, it's fine to have a 15-minute sales call with a potential customer, but then doing a series of calls where you basically interview your customer and charge for this series of calls. And then you come back at the end of those calls with a very specific proposal on what you're going to do or what you're offering to do based on their needs. And you should be consultative and educate them during this discovery process. And if you're super clear on what you're going to be building, like what kind of online course or membership site or course creation and marketing package you're going to do, give it a project price, and then you have a statement of work that says clearly what you're going to do in your contract, and this is how much it costs. And if the client adds more stuff to it as you go, that's called a scope amendment, which is fine. It's just more time and more money. So the launch date's going to change, and they're going to need to pay more money to add that stuff in. That's project-based pricing. Hourly-based pricing you can do with custom projects. You can also have a scope, but then if you're not very good at estimating how long things are going to take you, you may want to do hourly pricing, because that just protects you from not knowing how long certain things are going to take, because it's a very real thing. When you're offering services, you may believe in your abilities or your team's abilities to execute, but you may not completely know how long the individual components are going to take. You know you're going to do it, and you're going to do it successfully, but you have to get in it before you really know how long it's going to take. Now, that can be sometimes harder to sell for the client, because they don't necessarily want to get into a project that they don't know how long it's going to take. So you got to be careful with hourly based pricing, but it's all about managing expectations and being empathetic with what you need and your boundaries as a service provider, and what the client needs for their business, for their course and their teaching platform, and the growth of that whole project. So next up, we have the money slide of like, well, how much could you charge for all this stuff? So I'm doing just productized service pricing here. I'm not doing custom stuff here. And this is just, so full income disclaimer, these are numbers of stuff that I've done, and based on my experience, what I would estimate at. So take all this with a grain of salt, and come up with your own pricing and do your own figuring out here. But just as a general rule of thumb, if I was doing a productized service, this is not custom work. This is productized. So I'm creating packages. For the website, I would charge, let's talk, say a LifterLMS site, somewhere between $500 and $10,000. So a $500 website would have, let's say, the universe bundle in it, and it didn't take me more than an hour to set it up or something, and that's about it. And I'm going for high volume sales because there's only a $200 profit margin there. You know, not very, less than $200 profit margin. Whereas if I was going to be doing a lot of content entry and, you know, working with page builders and adding other, you know, marketing pages to the site, things like that, I would add it. It would go move on up to, you know, much higher price point, like $10,000. Content creation, it all depends. If I'm going to do like a 10 lesson course with somebody filmed over 2 days, we're going to record it all through Zoom, like we're doing right now. And they're going to have a bunch of homework that they're going to do to get ready for the recording sessions. It's only going to take 2 days. I might charge about $2,000 to get those lesson videos in order. If I was going to be doing more stuff like achievement badges and video, potentially getting on a plane, you know, I'm going to charge a lot more money, $20,000 and on up. Migrations from inferior platforms. It's one thing just to launch a new site, but when somebody's moving, there's a lot of detail like we looked at and nuances that need to be handled. So it really depends on the details. How many users are there? How much content is there? It's going to dramatically change the price. So I'm guessing for that one, somewhere between $1,000 and $10,000. Course membership and marketing. If I was doing something pretty light, like a basic product launch, step-by-step process that might, you know, that didn't necessarily take that much time, but was the right things and extremely high value, I would charge $2,000. If I was doing something bigger with all kinds of pre-selling, maybe a little bit of paid Facebook ads and Instagram ads and, you know, facilitating a webinar and things like that, I'm going to charge a lot more money. That would be like $30,000. And then in terms of marketing, there's all kinds of like monthly packages that you could get into for ongoing marketing, because marketing, the best marketing, you know, it's a continual conversation. It's not necessarily a one and done thing, although it is great to build up marketing assets, you know, as you go. So the next one, the maintenance. If you're doing really minimal maintenance, like just keeping WordPress plugins up to date and WordPress and the theme, and you're not really fixing anything, that's a really, you know, commodity, low value service. If you're doing more, you know, you can charge a lot more for that per month in terms of keeping websites up to date and secure. Bundled services, it really depends what you're bundling. You know, I don't know, like a simple, straightforward migration from one LifterLMS site to another one, and then a small launch event might be fairly affordable. But if I'm going to do like a high value marketing service and I'm going to launch, I'm going to do instructional design through Zoom, and I'm going to offer the website too, with the full website, I mean, that could easily be a $50,000 package. And again, if we look at that 10x value, we're saying, you know, what I recommend doing is I'm making my offer so good that, yeah, that $50,000 is a lot of money, but they should be able to make $500,000 or $500,000 with this platform in the first year. That's the kind of value proposition that you want to get good at. And it's not just saying that or marketing that. If you actually do that for people, they're going to market it for you. They're going to spread the word, and the best marketing is a great product. So focus on, getting those 10x returns for your customers. It's something to be very proud of when you do that. I've done that, and it feels really good. Customers happy, tells their friends, because everybody wins. It's a great thing. High ticket programs, like I said, it's a lot of work. If you're going to be setting up events, building websites, creating courses, organizing people into mastermind groups, potentially facilitating webinars for group coaching, or, doing private coaching, building private coaching systems for an entrepreneur. This could be huge. And if you're going to be the tech person for all that, you're getting into like some really big numbers there. So this is for somebody who's probably already making at least $1 million a year as an expert, and you're just going to take it, you're going to pour gasoline on the fire and take it to a whole new level. You're going to be the right-hand person or technologist or, online education, learning experience, designer. Those are big deals. So I would personally, if I was going to create that service, I would probably target, 3 to 5 clients a year, and that's it. Because that would, if I was running it by myself, that's about all I would be able to handle in creating and managing high ticket programs. So again, these numbers are based on my experience. If anybody wants to, if you have questions about pricing and want to talk about that, I'd be glad to. Pricing is a great topic. And marketing your service, not just helping course creators with, marketing, launching, pre-selling, scaling. What about you? Well, it's inbound, it's outbound, it's relationships. If you create content, let's talk about high ticket programs since we were just there. Inbound is like attraction marketing, content marketing. If you create videos, blog posts, courses around how to create a high ticket program, you're demonstrating your expertise, and what's going to happen is somebody's going to find that and they're going to be like, hey, you seem to know what you're talking about. Can we have a chat? I'm interested. That's inbound marketing. Outbound marketing. Okay, we're talking about high ticket programs. If I'm going to go after, somebody who's making $1 million a year, you can find those people. You can go to, New York Times bestseller lists. You can go to professional speaker association lists of who these experts are. You probably already know, maybe not personally, but know of people who make a lot of money that might be a good fit for a high ticket program, and you can approach them. So outbound sales is about being okay with failure, being ignored. It's not about being scammy or being a telemarketer that nobody likes. There's a right way to approach people. I always recommend just try to add value before you ask for anything. I'm much more of an inbound guy myself, attraction marketing, content marketing. But outbound sales can be very effective. And I do it because it's just a part of the fundamental marketing stack. So if you're not doing any outbound sales at all, even if it's just one email a day to a potential person who's never heard about you, about what you do, or some piece of content you made that you think they might be interested in, or an introduction you can make, something like that, I would recommend starting to do that. The other is relationships. It's about getting out from, behind your computer, or just getting out there in the world, going to conferences, networking with other industry professionals. Some of the best relationships that you can develop as a service provider, once you get clear on your niche and your ideal customer, is what's somebody who shares the same customer or potential customer as me, but is not a direct competitor. Those are very high value relationships that can have a lot of synergy. So I highly recommend you start figuring out what that looks like. And then I just want to stress how important audience selection is. So it's really easy to be too general. I talked about niches. The 3 mega niches are health, wealth, and relationships. I recommend going 4 layers down. So let's do an example. So health, that's level 1. Level 2, let's do fitness, which is a part of the health niche. Inside fitness, let's do kettlebell training. That's pretty good, but let's just go 1 more layer down and let's do women kettlebell trainers who after pregnancy. Okay, there is a specific niche. That's not necessarily the best example, but I'm just showing you how I think about going 4 levels down. Because if you just say, I create online courses or learning platforms for health professionals, it's too vague. You could go to health, alternative health, Eastern medicine, and then acupuncture. Okay, I help acupuncture teachers create online courses for continuing education requirements. That's a specific niche. Or I do continuing education websites in the real estate continuing education niche. That's a niche. Know your audience is the most important thing. And let's talk about another way to look at audience, which are demographics and psychographics. Demographics are things like, what's their average age, gender, location, what is their lifestyle like, what is their average yearly salary. These are like hard numbers, demographics. Psychographics are less tangible. They're things like emotional state, their worldview, their political beliefs, their shopping behavior. These are psychographics. And in my opinion, psychographics are even more important than demographics. Like if I were to talk to you who is on this webinar right now, I know some things about your psychographics. You're as an entrepreneur, you have various things, like you're prone to burnout. You are very curious. You're motivated by money and impact. You are you have a high BS meter. So you care about your clients, and sometimes you get too attached to them. There's all kinds of psychographic things I know about you, mostly because I am one of you. But it's important to know those things, and it helps you be a better communicator with your audience. And then the other thing is technology stacks. You can, just like specializing in LifterLMS is a focus point, so is popular WordPress products like let's say the Astra theme, or the Beaver Builder page building plugin, or WP Engine hosting. Some people are very product loyal, and they may be shopping for somebody to build their online course site, but they want it on LifterLMS and they don't want it on anything else, or they want it on Divi and they don't want it on anything else, or they have to use Beaver Builder or Elementor or whatever their page builder of choice is, or they have to use ActiveCampaign for marketing, which I personally know and love myself, but there's other great things out there. So attaching yourself to various technology and being an advocate for that technology is also very helpful. And how can I help you? We were talking about relationships. At the bottom of the LifterLMS.com website, you'll see an area called the LifterLMS Experts. So I would love to send you leads. As I said, we get a lot of inquiries for these kinds of things that aren't what we offer. I would love to do it, and I'm a very creative entrepreneur, but in order for me to be successful helping other people, I need to focus on the core business we have, which is building the software tool, the product, LifterLMS, with myself, and my very talented team, and supporting that and marketing that product. But in terms of relationships, I would love to send more business to the people on this call. And I can just see this huge opportunity in the market, even getting outside of just the website, but also the marketing services, the maintenance, and creating high ticket programs and these other things you can do that involve LifterLMS. I would love to help you get leads and sales and grow your business. It's the least I can do. I have a lot of experience in running an agency, being a solopreneur, designing and creating productized services, which, by the way, I recommend spending a lot of time just constructing the offer and the package, pre-selling it to make sure it's a good idea. But productized services can be amazing when they provide a lot of value, and they can also be quite scalable and be a lot of fun too. So, and also I would just encourage people, if you are going to offer services, you're more than welcome to join the LifterLMS affiliate program. We're happy to, we love paying affiliates. We'd rather pay affiliates than Facebook for, leads and sales. And, when you're doing things like creating a service, if you end up in a situation where you need to do some kind of unique licensing deal, like you want to buy the license, but then you want it to be in the other person's name when you launch or whatever, we'll figure all that out. Be sure to bundle the cost of LifterLMS into your offer. Some people ask their clients to buy whatever tools themselves and then they implement. So that's fine too. You can also, if you do like remove all the friction and the whole don't make me think thing, you're kind of setting it all up for them, navigating, okay, this is how you get LifterLMS support from here and so on. Or maybe you're going to do that for an additional maintenance service. Just think about it and be sure to calculate your expenses and factor that into the price. Because in my experience, people often, they don't charge enough for their services. Because you don't want to end up in a situation where you're in conflict with the client because you're losing money on the project. That's not their fault. That's your fault for scope and not creating a package that's clearly defined or managing expectations or pricing it appropriately. So we're getting ready to get into the Ask Me Anything part of this webinar. So I'd love to take some questions. So ask them in the Q&A and we'll get into it. Also, I'll scan through the chat and check Facebook and see if anything is over there. Real quick before I get into questions, I love helping other entrepreneurs. It's part of what drives me. So if you want to talk about your service that you're thinking about offering that includes LifterLMS, and you want to talk to somebody who's been in the trenches as a solopreneur, agency owner, productized service builder, if you go to the LifterLMS website and find our contact form, there's a link in the bottom right of the website. There's a button in there where you can, below the contact form, where you can schedule a call with me. I'd be glad to jump on a call with you and talk, because I know what it's like, and sometimes you just need a sounding board or want to bounce an idea off of somebody who has a lot of contact with course builders and membership site people like myself. I'd be happy to do that, so that door is always open. So let's transition into questions. I'm going to take the Q&A first, and then I'll check out the chat. I'd encourage anybody who wants to raise their hand and go live and have a conversation around any of these topics, any of these things we've covered about, to go ahead and do that. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. But I'm going to start with Tom's question. How does LifterLMS work with page builders like Elementor? That's a great question. Elementor, for those of you listening who don't know, it's a page builder like Beaver Builder. It's another popular one. And LifterLMS, you can already use it with Elementor. And some people are using it and loving it. We do have something called LifterLMS Labs, which has a few more features for Beaver Builder, and also Divi Theme, which has something called the Divi Builder. For right now, those are the only ones we have, and those just provide a little more compatibility with the page builders. But yeah, LifterLMS does work with Elementor. We'd love to hear what you're building with it. I'd encourage you to connect with other people in the Facebook who are using Elementor and LifterLMS together, and so you can see what they're doing, and we'll just keep the conversation going there. So thanks for the question, Tom. And I'm just looking at the chat here. I see we've got some hands up we'll get to in just a second. Neil asks if I was influenced by Mike Dillard. I know who Mike Dillard is. I was not influenced by him, though. I've seen like 1 or 2 videos he's made, but not so much. All right. Not a lot of questions in the chat, which is all right. Let me see who we've got for raised hands. Somebody raised a hand. Seth, I think it was you, but I don't see your hand up anymore. If anybody wants to go live and talk about services, I'd be glad to. Talk about what you're thinking about, selling or already selling, or if you want to talk about pricing or how to do marketing for websites or services, any specific questions, I'd be happy to field. So, let's see here. So Seth, if you were just testing, that's fine. Okay. Does LifterLMS provide, let me get this over here. Does LifterLMS provide some type of registration service? For instance, LearnDash built an integration with Event Espresso to manage registrations. That's a great question. LifterLMS has its own built-in registration that you can use, like when people create accounts on the site. But since you're mentioning Event Espresso, I would imagine that you mean registration for events. Not directly, but you could use something like Events Calendar Pro, where you put it inside of a course protected area or membership, and people could have the ability to register, but only enrolled students or membership would be able to see that. So there's ways to do it with LifterLMS without necessarily an official integration. So just throwing that out there. But that's a great question. I do think the concept of blended learning, so live events and online events, or online courses mixed with live events, is a really awesome intersection. So if we're in service to the results revolution, and you notice we do it in the products we create, like with social learning, where there's a social component to learning, mapping how learning works in the real world to the online space, having live, in-person, or virtual events is an important part of the learning process. And I think building packages, or service offerings that have an overlap between those two things is a really good idea. So Durante asks, does LifterLMS eliminate the need for a membership plugin? Is content protection included? Yes. So that's one of the beautiful things about LifterLMS. Some people don't realize it. It's a fully featured membership solution as well. One of the problems we wanted to solve from day one with LifterLMS is people end up with these kind of what I call the software Frankenstein, where they have like an e-commerce plugin over here, membership plugin over here, course plugin over here, badge plugin over here, and their sites get very chaotic, and they get a lot of you know, sometimes they get conflicts and things are breaking. The user experience isn't that good. So from day one, we put all the membership functionality you would ever need inside LifterLMS. So LifterLMS has something called memberships. Courses are automatically protecting lessons. Courses can be free, can be paid. You can have lifetime access, limited time access, access as long as a recurring payment is continuing to be met. You can offer bundles of courses, or like Seth's question, you could create a membership that includes a course and, let's say, access to a page that has event information on it that only members can see. So yeah, to answer your question, you do not need a third-party membership plugin, and your life will be a lot easier, you know, with having less tools to make it happen, made by less companies. So Tom asks, can you use video interactive transcription players like 3Play Media, or do you have that on your roadmap? Student can click on a section in the transcript and video jumps to that. That is a great question. That may already be possible if 3Play Media has embed capabilities. So if you can embed that on a web page, then it would work inside of a LifterLMS lesson. So if you would, send that email to team@lifterlms.com. That's TEAM@lifterlms.com. And I'll take a look at that and see what I can see from embeddability standpoint. So thanks for the question on that. There's really no end to the creativity that you can do in terms of putting different types of content inside of a LifterLMS lesson. So often things are possible you may not think. There's just you got to either be able to embed it, upload it, or somehow get it inside the content there. So Jonathan asks in the chat, hello, Jonathan. If you guys don't know about the WP Tonic podcast, I'd encourage you to check it out. Jonathan's from there. I'm on the panel sometimes there. We talk about WordPress stuff and things relevant to building sites and entrepreneurship. It's a great show. That's at WP Tonic. But Jonathan asks, are you going to offer more theme options when it comes to LifterLMS? Yes, we are, but they're not going to be necessarily made by us. So we're focused like a laser on the functionality of LifterLMS. You know, there's a lot we have to do. We're about to release advanced quizzes for LifterLMS. After that, we're doing assignment features. But there's a lot to do with the functionality of the plugin itself. You know, as a learning management system, e-commerce engine, engagement engine, social learning network, all those things. There's a lot to do there. So the theming and the design is something that you know, we're not super focused on. But the beautiful thing about WordPress is we do have our own theme called Launchpad, but the WordPress community, lots of people are releasing themes that have, you know, that Lifter works with any theme out of the box, that any well-coded WordPress theme. But there are theme companies like Michelle Noonan has a theme for Lifter. The very popular and fast-growing Astra theme that just rolled out by I think Brainstorm Force, which also has I believe Beaver Builder and Elementor great compatibility there. It also is built with a lot of focus on LifterLMS compatibility. But long story short, there's a lot of free themes rolling out with Lifter compatibility, and premium themes like Michelle's there and others that are rolling out. So there's a third party tab on our website in the store where you can see the some of the tools, themes that other people are making for LifterLMS. So that's a great question. We have a question in the chat about user roles. Yes. All right, Jonathan's going to go live. We'll go live with you in just a second, Jonathan. I'm going to get a few questions and then pull you in here. In terms of user roles, yes, LifterLMS has an instructor role, an LMS manager role, a student role, and then there are other roles, plugins that you can install that can mess with the capabilities on the website to, create custom roles if you want to. So yes, roles are a big part of LifterLMS. I've got a question here from Facebook, and then we're going to bring Jonathan Denwood here live on the panel. So the question from Facebook is, if I buy the developer's license of the Universe bundle, can the other 4 licenses be sold to clients? That is a great question. Or used by clients. I think that was a clarification there. So the developer license is a 5-site license, which means that's a license key that can be used on 5 websites. And there's an email address associated with that can access the LifterLMS developers through the support system. So if you are going to have like 3 sites of your own or 5 sites of your own, you should get the developer's license. If you are going to get 5 high-ticket program clients and you're going to manage all the support needs with the LifterLMS team, then you're good to go with the developer license. If you are going to expect your client to access the LifterLMS support team after the launch of your project, I would recommend one of 2 scenarios, because you don't want to give them, they're going to need their own license to do that, since it's tied to your email address. That's why there's a discount on the developer license, since there's only one customer to support who has a lot of sites. But if that individual client is going to have need support, I would either build it on your license and then be clear with them that when they're done, if they end up needing support, that they'll need to buy a single license, or just from the beginning structure it, buy a LifterLMS license so that can be used in their project. Contact me if you have any issues figuring out how to buy it and then transfer it into their name later and their email address, so it's associated with them. But those would be the 2 different ways to do that. All right, well, I'm gonna take Jonathan Denwood live here. Hey, Jonathan, how you going? How you doing, Jonathan?
Yeah, not bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear.
All right. You can't see me though, can you?
I'm going to make you the co-host so you can, should be able to. Let me stop the screen share for a second. All right.
There you go. Oh.
How you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all. Really fantastic webinar, Chris. You really covered a lot of material. Put a lot of ideas into my mind, Chris. Great. So I get the impression then with the theme situation, you're gonna promote third-party themes and allow that area to be covered by third parties in the future. Is that basically the position?
That is. We do have our own theme that we continue to evolve called Launchpad, which is included in the Universe bundle and the Infinity bundle. And it is a popular theme that people use with Lifter. But as we all know, design is a very, unique to individuals. So that's why there's like thousands and thousands of themes out there so that, people can choose the design that makes sense for them.
So what in this third party area are you just going to allow people to just give you information about the themes that they've developed for Lifter, or are they going to have to kind of meet some pre-agreed requirements to meet a certain standard?
Yeah, that's a great question. The main thing is we always check out what they've got going on and we want to see Lifter inside of it. It's similar to how there are WooCommerce themes out there designed to work with the WooCommerce e-commerce plugin. To build a LifterLMS compatible theme for a theme developer out there, it's not that crazy. I mean, the hard part is building a theme that's beautiful and looks great and has a nice, consistent design, brand look and feel. But to integrate with Lifter, just like as if you were integrating with WooCommerce, you need to have some styling for the catalog pages, which is the page with all the course tiles. In the same way that a WooCommerce theme makes the store look a certain way, a good Lifter theme would make the course or the membership catalog look a certain way. And make sure there's solid sidebar compatibility and things like that. So, but yeah, we review it. We make sure it's good. A lot of people, like, for example, with the Astra theme, we hear members in our community talking about, we've been hearing people talk about that long before it ends up, becoming an official third-party add-on that we'll promote in our store. So we are going to be adding the Astra theme soon and promoting that, and people are very happy with it in our community. And I've just found out all the things they've done to make it Lifter compatible, and it looks great in our testing and everything. And it's also a free theme. There's a paid version of theme, so it's great too when people can hit the free and the paid market and that sort of thing. So long answer to your question there, but yeah, it's not just, we won't just slap everything under the sun up there. We want to make sure the quality is good, and we're really into protecting the trust of our customers. So if we're going to refer people to it, we want to make sure it's solid. But yeah, there could potentially be a lot more out there because there's so many different design preferences out there.
Yeah, I think that's great. Let's go one other quick question. Basically, you covered a lot of material through this webinar. You've done a fantastic job, Chris. So in your experience, is there a lot of people that approach Lifter that really also need, they're in the pre-planning stage, they're actually looking for advice from you about how to develop the pre-coding, the actual structure of the course that they're thinking of implementing?
Yeah, it happens all the time, and that's one of those services I was throwing out there, the course content or instructional design services. That is a huge thing that people need to think about. It's one of the reasons why we have our podcast, LMS Cast, and we talk about some of those issues outside of what the software can do, because the software doesn't matter if you don't have your course structure figured out, your engagement strategy, your price strategy, your your main offer of what the course even is and who it's for, the audience. People need a lot of help with that piece you're talking about right there. We get approached a lot about that, and what that really takes is somebody who understands teaching, marketing, and the modern web all in one person, and they're out there.
Oh, well, I'd have to do a blatant plug here, folks. I have to get back to you because obviously I've got Kim as my co-host.
Yeah.
And we'll have to work with you on some offerings in that area, hopefully in the new year.
Yeah, and that's Kim Shivler, folks, that Jonathan's referencing, Jonathan and Kim over at WP Tonic. It's yeah, they've got a lot going on over there, and you know, Kim has a lot of background in that kind of structure stuff. It's, yeah, to be continued.
Yeah, we're just formatting what we're going to be offering, and like you say, there's a lot of work. Well, I won't take any more of your time up, but I thought I'd jump in. You just done a fantastic job, Chris, and I really enjoyed the webinar.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jonathan.
Kick me off now, Chris.
Okay. I'll stop you here. All right. All right. Cool. We had a few more questions roll in, and if anybody else wants to go live, raise your hand, and I will get you live if you're interested in that. Durante had 3 more questions. Does LifterLMS create the pages it needs in our shortcodes? And are there shortcodes? Yes, LifterLMS, when you first install it, it walks you through the steps of how to do that, how to set everything up, and it does create some pages with some shortcodes. And there is a nice page in our documentation that has all the shortcodes that you can use for various things as well. Maybe we can get that in the chat. But yeah, there are a lot of shortcodes. And the next question asked was about using Zoom for webinars. I really love Zoom. I think it's a really powerful tool. I'm using it right now. It's my #1 choice and recommendation. I also use it for recording podcasts. I also use it for coaching sessions I do. I have some people that I mentor. I use it for my day-to-day operations with my company. And I record course videos with it. So I think I got an email from Zoom that even said something like I was part of their, like, you know, highest user program, because I'm on Zoom so much that I'm like one of the people in the world who use it the most. So I highly recommend Zoom to answer that question. All right, I'm going to take a look at the chat here, check Facebook. Question about how long I've been using Zoom. I've been using Zoom for about 3 years, something like that. I used to use GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar. I find Zoom to be a lot easier and better personally. And, you know, we're live streaming to Facebook right now. How cool is that, that you can live stream while you're, you know, working and doing other stuff, if that makes sense. Cool. You're welcome, Durante. Let's see if we have any other. Yeah, I think we about covered it. I'm just going to check Facebook and see if anybody else has any other questions. Let's see. So we've got some people in Facebook who are dedicated LifterLMS developers already and working on extending services. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this webinar. Durante asks, are you offering any deep or special discounts today beyond 10% today? No, there's not a, there's no bonus for attending this webinar. This is just me giving back to the community, trying to share some of my knowledge and help some other people out there create services and build businesses around Lifter. There is that Save 10 coupon code that you can use, SAVE10. That's out there. And then also in a week from today, the price of the Infinity Bundle is moving up $100. So in some ways, there is a discount available today if you're looking to invest in the Infinity Bundle. All right, Johanna, Tom, Seth, thank you guys. very much. I appreciate the everybody coming. Like I said, if anybody wants to jump on a call, talk about services, try to work on building a relationship with the LifterLMS company, about services you provide or anything like that, I'd be happy to talk. Shoot us an email or find that link there on our contact page to schedule a 15-minute call with me. Sebastian, so glad you were here. Thanks so much for coming. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And I'm going to stop the recording and catch you guys around the interwebs. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.